Everything Chris. 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 I had to restructure this because you're an artist.
Okay.
So, so we'd like you to give us a highlight of your career, a favorite artist you worked with, and a funny moment or funny artist you worked with.
Okay. Highlight of my career. Oh, that's an interesting one. I mean, a pragmatic one would be maybe like the first time I ever got paid for a show kind of thing. Like I remember it like it was a guy called DJ Snuff. It was a few years back. We had a show at Cargo. And again, like I say, you're in that space where you're just making music for the sake of making music. And I never forget, I got £50. And it was only like a verse I had on one of his songs, and I got like £50. I was like, what? Yeah. So that was a good moment. I mean, other pivotal moments or poignant moments, like there's a song I've got called How I'm Living, which is about juggling fatherhood and music career and life, really. And I remember performing it once, and there was one guy, he could have been like my dad's age, and he was crying like after the performance. And he was like, the song just brought back memories of him when he was a young dad and struggling and not knowing if he's doing it right and da 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 da. Yeah. So that was another moment that kind of touched me. It was like, wow, that was a lot. It was a lot kind of thing. Even thinking about it now, it just happened a good few years ago. So those were kind of pivotal moments. What was the other one? Favorite person I've worked with?
Favorite artist to work with, yeah.
Favorite artist to work with? I'll say a producer, if they kind of count.
Producer, yeah?
Yeah, there's a guy we don't work together as much now, but a guy called Morpheus, who the majority of my catalogue he's responsible for, more so the recording and the engineering, not necessarily just the producing. And it's always, he always makes me sound better. So like I'll come in there and I have an idea in my head, and he'll always surpass it, kind of thing, in the end of it. And he knows he's a really good communicator. Do you know what I mean? If something sounds rubbish, he'll tell you, but in a nice way, kind of thing. Because sometimes, like, you can work with producers, especially like if you're just recording, you're paying someone to record you, for example. They're on the clock, in it, kind of thing. So they might not tell you that, yo, that sounds rubbish. Like, do that again.
Sick, you know, sick. And you're like,
do you know what I mean? So him, and like I say, he'd always make me sound better, and he always keeps it real in a nice way. So yeah. And then last one, what was it? Funny artist to work with.
Funny artist to work with, or funny moment in your career?
Funny moment. Oh, I've got a few of those. I mean, there was one, I actually did a video about this over there. There was one time I performed very early on when I was young, and we were just again performing. And I used to walk around with like a toothpick in my mouth. I went through a toothpick phase, or a matchstick or whatever. Yeah, I know. I went through that phase. And there's one time I'm performing, and there's a toothpick in my mouth, on the side of my mouth, because I used to be able to talk and carry on my day with it. Did the toothpick not somehow move and get lodged in my throat, like midway performance? Yeah, bro, it's funny now, but at the time. So, bro, imagine, like, I'm midway in the tune, I'm doing my thing, I'm jumping up and down, and all of a sudden I'm just like... And the people, the audience are right there, they're looking at me, they don't know what on earth is happening, and they're just looking at me like, what's going on with this guy? So somehow I managed to dislodge it and then carried on rapping, but they knew that something. And you know, like, when they just like give you one of them claps at the end, like, okay, we're clapping, but you know, something not right with this guy. So that was funny. That always brings me, makes me laugh. I think that time.
And there's another part to it. So it's 3 parts. Should have said that at the beginning. So say a downer moment in your career. So like a moment where a tough time. So that's what I mean. Yeah, a tough moment in your career, a person you didn't like working with. So it's, unless you don't have to say something you didn't like, you probably just didn't like working with them, and then an embarrassing moment other than the toothpick one.
Yeah, that
Embarrassing
down
moment.
like
A tough,
they
tough
come
time.
and go because I mean things are a lot better now, but there's moments where I don't know, you feel like you're just banging your head against a wall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nothing's clicking, you know. And there's moments where you really start to question like, why am I bothering with this thing? Like, do you know what I mean? So those are moments. And I think as a creative, as an independent, those moments do come and go
Yeah.
sometimes. But there's that type of moment generally. Less more so now, but yeah, you have those moments where it's just like, what are we doing there? Like we're not making any headway here. Do you know what I mean? Should I just go? I mean, especially after leaving my job, like you leave a job, I got a stable income, got decent money coming in, so you're like, I got nothing coming in this month. Like it's like raw. So you
Man.
have to really, those are challenging times sometimes, and you have to be ready for them and just break through sometimes. And there was
All
another
right.
funny moment,
Embarrassing moment.
an embarrassing moment. Um, I think I don't know if this is embarrassing per se, but I've got a story I talk about on my thing where I did one show once. This was last year actually. I did a
Yeah.
show where there was literally no one in the audience. Like,
Raw.
yeah, that like literally. Like sometimes
Man.
people say there's no one. There might be like one or two. There's no. There's like me and Dave, who was DJing for me at the time. It was just us, and there was like, and the other act that was performing, and and that is just like, whoa. You know what I mean? But we made the most of it. We decided to film because what it was, I had like my headline show like a month after that.
Yeah.
So I didn't really promote it myself. The promoter obviously didn't promote it.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and then, yeah, you literally get there, bro, and there's like no, when I say zero, just us and the bartenders. So, but we made the most of it. We filmed it, and then, there's more footage. So we used
But
it as like a
standard.
full dress rehearsal for the
Yeah.
actual show. When the show happened a few months later, that was a lot better in terms of people coming. But yeah, that was like, I don't know if embarrassing ain't really the word, but it's like a blow to your ego almost, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
you got to
when
kind of
there's no
shake it
one
off
there.
very quickly. A reality check almost, you know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, but it's all part of the journey, It's all part
All
of the
right.
journey
And last one was a person in the industry you didn't like working with.
that I'd like to work with.
Or you didn't like to work with. You didn't
Oh,
like
that I
working with.
didn't like. I don't have anyone. Everyone I've worked with has been all right, to be fair. There's no one that stands out to be like, oh god.
Okay. Or who would you like to work with then?
Who would I like to work with in the industry? Oh, if I go on who's currently doing stuff now, I mean, there's a lot of Sierra Leonean artists, but maybe people might not know their names. So if I go for someone more generic, um, I think I'd say Snoop, but like old Snoop, because the Snoop Dogg Doggy Style album was probably the first album that I really got into, like
Okay.
rinsed kind of thing. But obviously the music he makes now is a lot different. But
Yeah, yeah.
even just to have a chat with kind of thing. But there's a few people, but I think, yeah, I'll give it because he was the first rapper that I really got into. That I knew the album from back to front, that Doggy Style album.
Okay.
So that would be fun being in the do
I used
something
to,
with Snoop.
yeah. I used to listen to a lot of artists back then. Like listen
Yeah.
to their albums are good, but in terms of someone who I got into, who really just got me to listen to lyrics, not just bars, is Keith Murray. I was just
Okay.
like, like, someone played one of his tracks for me one time. I was like, because you know about Keith Murray, I say I know a bit about him. He's all right, man. And he played a track, and I was just like, oh, oh, like, oh. I said, so I'm going back and buying all these old albums now
You
just to
see?
go back. And then they're like, raw. I said, this guy was actually, yeah. So Keith was the first person that made me like listen to music. I was like,
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. I mean, I did that a little bit in terms of going back. I did that with Jay-Z because I discovered, I say discovered, I
mm,
fell into Jay-Z kind of late. So
yeah,
maybe like he was already like 2, 3 albums in.
yeah, same,
And
yeah,
then I went back and started listening to his first album and things like that kind of thing. But yeah, man, there's you know, and that's a different thing of the age we're in now. It's no longer really albums.
Yeah, it's bare tunes now,
Remember
man.
back then it was like an album, and the whole album is like one piece of work, and you're listening to it from beginning to end. So I can't remember the last recent album I really listened to and enjoyed, to be honest.
Last one I think I listened to was Eric Sermon Vernia, was his latest one. That was a good one. So, but other than that, or Meek Mill Champions as well. That was another one I heard.
Got ya.
So that was the last album I properly heard. But
okay.
yeah. All right.
My son just came in the room.
Man's in the bed now. He's in the interview. All right. Anyone who's online, if you got any questions for Tony?
Everything Chris. Everything Chris.